We always hear words like inclusion, empowerment, and emancipation being thrown around when it comes to discussions surrounding women. Today, we want to hear about the reality of the position, the economic, the political, and the social position of women in our society. This is the Girls' Table, and my name is Hlengiwe Mtetwa. Welcome, ladies and gents, to the Girls' Table. All right, so please take the opportunity to introduce yourselves, starting from you.
Hi, my name is Mtetwa. I am 22 years old and I'm currently studying computer science at NUST.
I'm Louis Matutu and I'm from an organization, Sun Perfect League, but I'm the favored one today because I've been exposed to sit here to discuss women issues with these young ladies.
Hi, my name is Hlengiwe and I'm 22.
My name is Mtetwa and I'm studying journalism and media studies with NUST.
All right, so the Girls' Table is about women, but specifically young women. So I want to hear what your thoughts are as to the position of women today in terms of their economic, their political, and social representation in society. Okay, I'll start with Louis. I'll put you on the spot.
Yeah, you see, I have to avoid talking too much because, like I said, I'm learning from these ladies.
All right.
But I think that we haven't done much as a country in terms of accommodating and creating more space for women, particularly young women. I think that the country hasn't done much to make sure that they understand the opportunities that are there for them. I also think that we haven't done much in creating an equal level ground to make sure that they access the same things that are being accessed by men. Yeah.
So the opportunities are there, but the women are just failing to understand, or the information is not out there for them.
Yeah, there are so many opportunities, but an opportunity can only become an opportunity provided you know about it.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. If we look at what is happening in RBZ, you know, RBZ, they've got 9 committees of financial inclusion. They push financial inclusion for young people. And there's a particular one for young people, to say, young women, sorry, to say they must access funds, they must do their businesses, they must become successful entrepreneurs. Look at an organization called Young Women in Business. They are there, they exist, and they're creating space for young ladies. But because people are not aware of what is happening, sometimes it doesn't exist because they don't know about it. So that information must be put to them so they can make choices and participate in what is happening.
All right. So are you guys happy with where we are as women when it comes to our positions or the accessibility of decision-making positions for women in our country?
Okay, I would like to appreciate the strides that the country has taken in trying to empower women. But I would also agree with Louis that there is that gap whereby we are seeing women failing to grab the opportunities that are availed to them. Either they're not knowing that they're there, or the government is not doing much to sensitize the young women that there are the opportunities. We have to grab them and maximize on them. So I guess there is need to enhance women participation in all levels. How will you do that? Maybe it's empowerment, maybe it's availing resources, or maybe it's us women who need to just wake up and start grabbing the opportunities they are in front of us.
I feel like, especially with your last point, that as women we need to be more out there. We can't continue to say that there's no opportunities. What opportunities are there? What are we doing as women to actually look for the opportunities? There's so much around us that we can turn into opportunities. So I agree, we should wake up and actually start grabbing the opportunity.
All right. So she says it's our fault that we are where we are. We need to step up and do more to access those positions in society. Do you agree?
As women, sometimes if you are given an opportunity, you just take this position as a PA, a secretary, but you just don't compete for the CEO position. We are afraid. I think it's a social norm. It's something that we grew up with. But it has to be eliminated. We are afraid to take up the best position in a company, being a CEO, being the president. Even especially if you look at some political side. I think there was one woman contesting to be a president. Women are afraid. Not that we don't have women who are able, We have women who are able to be CEOs, but we are afraid to take up the positions. So I think it's partly our fault.
I think when we talk of empowerment, the only thing that comes into mind to most women is to have power over men, of which that's not the case. I guess the communication should be power with men, power to associate with men, power to have the same ground, the same playing ground. But problem now is when I'm growing up, I'll be like, be a man, be a man, be a man. And to me, the question will be like, what is being a man? And I look at a man over there, I sometimes a useless guy, and I'll be like, should I be this useless? So that thing already diverts the real thing that women should play a bigger role in the society to upgrade our political, economic, and social environment.
Okay, so maybe let's hear from somebody who is, you know, part of these decision-making structures. Are you happy about the representation of women, not only in the ruling party, but in the nation at large?
I'm happy. If I'm to look at our background as a nation, where we're coming from.
Sorry, and I want you to be specific, like when you're talking about your happiness, like talk about how many women actually occupy decision-making position in those.
Let's look at our background. We talk of our culture as Zimbabwean people, a culture that looks down upon women, though we're improving it right now. If we were to conduct an election, yeah, we are about probably 5 of us. If I am a candidate and you are the other one, it's very likely that these ladies might vote for me and choose not to vote for you. Not because I'm better than you, but because they think that I'm better than you as a woman, as a young lady. So that background, cultural background, is also not good for us. But I was saying I'm happy because if you look at our parliament, we have got 210 members of parliament that are directly elected into the August House. And out of that number, we have 25. It's a very small number, but a very big achievement. 25 courageous women who could compete with men and get those seats. That's an achievement. We now have those 60 that go through proportional representation. Of course, it could be some arrangement that is meant to create more space and participation for women in government. But there is something. So that's why I was saying I'm happy. We've got women who are CEOs, women who are owning very big companies. We've got women who are running churches, big organizations. So that's a plus, and it makes me happy. But there's this other part. Okay, maybe before I move to this other negative part, I would look probably from my organization that I come from. We have a woman, though not young, but in the highest decision-making board of a political party in the presidium. She is going to push other young women to participate and realize that there is space up there that they can occupy. So it's a plus. If we look at in our youth league, we've got more than a quarter of our executive, they are women. Provinces west and this will go down. So there is something. But this negative side that we need to improve on that doesn't make me happy is the fact that information is not available so that women can quickly catch up with what we were enjoying before due to our background as a nation. We need to expose them to certain things that can upgrade them. We need to open up and we need to be fair to them in terms of how we establish certain conditions when we're going probably for political position, between government or in any other forum. That part, we really need to make sure that we push and give them enough space. But yes, people can be created, or environment can be created, but if there's no one to take up those opportunities, sometimes it's useless. So capacity building, political education, economic education to our young women, we hope them participate in whatever is happening and perhaps to achieve the equity and equality in terms of gender that we talk about. Yeah.
All right, he spoke about proportional representation and how 25 brave women have managed to be in positions of power because of that. Do you think proportional representative is more detrimental to the empowerment of women than it is positive?
I think to a large extent it's actually very positive. If you look at from the figures that we were saying, it means that we went from a stage where we had 15% of women in parliament, now we have about 38%. And one key thing to note is the Deputy Minister for Youth Affairs, she's a young woman. So it actually gives other people hope that actually if there is such a situation that's being availed by the government, then we can actually take up the positions, because we can't keep on saying women empowerment, but there's no women that are empowered. So these are actual real life situations. So if you realize that 25 contested in the last election, maybe we'll get 40 in the next one, 60, and then we'll get to a stage maybe in 2060 where there's 50-50 representation. You know, I think we're kind of looking at a situation where Rome is going to be built in one day, but we have to have those 25 brave women to actually start and then give other people hope. So I think it's, to a large extent, very helpful.
As much as I appreciate the representation of women talking in politics, I think there is a gap, a huge gap, and it's kind of difficult to fill. For example, if we look at that number of women who are giving, I'll call it giving them seats into parliament. They are handed seats into parliament, and they create that, we call it glass ceiling when you're talking of gender, whereby you feel like you can see the sky, but there's this glass that is hanging over you, you can't break it. Truth be told, how many women have talked in that parliament? We watch parliament every day, every week, in and out. They just go sit there. They are cabbages. I'm sorry to say it. They are cabbages. They just go sit there, take the money and out, because they can't say anything, because they don't represent anyone in parliament. They're just there. They don't have a constituency that they can say, my people are saying this and this and this. My girls are saying this and this and this. Because that power was given to them. The term of this was, they'll just stand up and say, not on, we are this and this and this and this, and they'll be heard and they'll be clapped upon. So I believe that giving power to women is not adequate enough, but incapacitating them so that they can advocate for that power and grab it for themselves. I say thumbs up to those women who managed to get into parliament through votes, because now they can stand their ground and say whatever they want, because they represent a certain group of people where they come from, because that power, those people are the ones who voted them in. So I think in as much as that proportional things going on and on, I think we need to reevaluate and see if they have the power to say something or to change or to push for change.
All right. So she's saying proportional representation is retrogressive. The quota system is actually more negative than it is positive, because you find people without the merit having positions that they maybe are not prepared for or equipped for or have the skills for. Do you agree?
As we grow up, we are told that you can do better than a man. What a man can do, you also can do. So what makes them think we also can't campaign and actually get voted into power? Giving me power makes me vulnerable. Because I can't speak, I can't say anything in parliament.
Because it was given to you, and now you have to maybe think about the person that gave you the power. Yeah. So
women, we are not supposed to be given power just because we are women. We don't deserve power because we are women. We deserve power because we deserve.
You deserve it because you earned it.
Yeah.
But just to come in there, I think this whole arrangement of proportional representation is a starting point. There was nothing before, right? But if we create some space by giving that power, we are giving you power so that you'll be able to create your own power. So just like in other countries across the world, they will say you can only be a PRI representative, right? Probably for such a period of years. Assuming that you will be able to now stand for your own and probably contest with men and be directly elected in parliament. So we are actually creating that space to build courage and comfort within our women colleagues so that they can stand for themselves in the future. It's actually an incubation, if I may say. We're incubating them politically to be able to prepare to stand for themselves in the future. But what will be wrong is for us to keep on giving them that power. This person has been there representing women as a PR rep. The next term when we do elections, she's there. Then, no. It now becomes a better society. It ceases to become an incubation. Because
all right, maybe from your knowledge, how many women are in parliament right now outside of PR?
We have got 25 that were directly elected in parliament. If you look at them, the majority of them, they are young women. I would take Honorable Hlengiwe. She was directly elected from Masvingo. I would take, though a little bit grown up, but Barbara Rodzi, she was elected directly. You know, but all I'm trying to say is it just takes one's courage to be able to say I'm better than everyone else. I can also do what men are doing. But it's not enough. 25 out of 210, it's really not enough.
Drop in the ocean.
But it's a starting point. Probably we have 30, 40, or can even double, triple that number depending on the courage, the level at which our young women will be gaining courage. But look at, okay, I hope this is my last point on this one. Look at how our government has been structured right now in this new dispensation. We've got so many women who are ministers of state. We've got so many women who are in cabinet. They must then be able to create space and build courage to the other women so that they can take up those positions. If you are a minister of state, surely create space for other women in the field to make sure that they can also get the courage and be able to contest for themselves. So I think we have got a certain point. It is not enough. We should do better to make sure that we match the rest of the world.
He says PR is a starting point and that women should work harder to create spaces for other women. Are women in politics specifically doing all they can to create opportunities for other women, for other young women specifically? We're looking at a woman that will get into parliament through, proportional representation. 5 years later, they're coming back to that very same position. Is that not retrogressive? Are women doing enough to create spaces for other women?
Getting into parliament and being a cabbage, I feel like it goes back to the women being the ones who are actually supposed to create these opportunities. Like he said, it's an incubation, so it's actually supposed to go there to learn and then use that empowerment that you'd have gotten to go back to the grassroots and educate other women on what to do. So if we as women cannot see this as an opportunity and use that opportunity to empower ourselves, then at the end of the day we're going to be singing the same song for the next 50 years and going over and over again and doing the same thing. So there should be some kind of requirements or some kind of specifications to say this kind of person should be able to get in through PR, and when they get in they say they're 5 years and then they go out and then they give opportunity to other women, because I think PR is also supposed to serve for the youth. So it's actually something very important that we have women in there that are not just going out to say women, but women and youth, because there's not enough youth participation in parliament anyway. All
right. So I want to speak about your organization that works specifically with youth. Now, I've heard a lot of sentiments about how women are afraid, they are not skilled enough, there are no opportunities. As the Youth League, are you going out of your way to create opportunities, to create spaces that make politics, let me use the word attractive? What are you doing to attract women? Because it's one thing to say, opportunities are here, come and get them. It's another to make them attractive. I mean, looking at the fear, looking at the intimidation, looking at, women are just afraid, so to speak, as someone said.
You see, us with the Youth League, we are saying we have to transform our organization into a modern. We are doing that. Okay. Yes, we are. I'll get to that. Okay. To transform our organization into a modern organization that has got dignity and respect when you look at it. Now, for women to be able to be willing to participate in politics, there must be an environment, a conducive environment that respect them as women. Where when you look at them, we don't say they are vulnerable. You have to do A, B, C, D for them to get this position. That must disappear. And we are working on that to make sure that it disappears. And the second thing is we have to educate our young women. In ZANU-PF Youth League, we are educating them. Recently, we have been moving around tertiary institutions, meeting young women to say, please, these are the opportunities, this is the situation, why don't you take up A, B, C, D? So that political education is needed. But also, they must understand the benefits that comes out as a result of joining a political organization A, B, or rather just getting into politics. It's not just doing it for the sake of doing it. What is it that they can build their capacity, that they can upgrade them, that's in that particular organization? We've taken it upon ourselves to say, whatever exposure that we get as young men in a structure, in an organization, we have to share it equally. We are doing workshops. We've got another one on Thursday that we roped in people from RBZ to expose our young women on what exactly is happening there. So we are also doing the other workshops, Mtetwa Ideological School. Let's educate our young people. Why is it important for them to participate in politics? I was talking to someone this morning, who I can't mention who was that, and I asked her, why is it that you don't really participate in politics? Why do you just try to join our structures? You know, it was just some discussion. And she said that I'm just not ready, and I have to think about it. I'll sleep over it, you see. So we want to make sure that we push our female colleagues, young women, from that thinking to another stage where they will understand that they must also think for us. We must all learn from them, so that we push together. The other thing that we were also doing, we've said that people, particularly young women, can only participate in politics when they are economically stable, because it requires a lot of resources for one to say, I'm getting into politics. Otherwise, you die clapping hands for other people, which is not good. So we have to push the economic side. We are exposing them to certain houses, financial houses, that can help them, you know, equip themselves financially so they can be able to participate. Yes, we can talk of empowering. By the way, that's our brainchild, though it's now a government thing, you know, to say, let's have our young people exposed to financial support. And our women should go and take up those funds. They must make use of those funds. RBZ has got the same arrangement, just like what I said before. IDBZ, they've got the same arrangement. There's a women's bank where young people, again, must also be able to access funds. So we're educating our young people, exposing them to information, sharing the information with them, and in some instances facilitating so that they can access those funds, empower themselves so they can participate in political activities that are taking place in the country, and perhaps get into government as representatives of the people. Yeah.
All right. Maybe as we wrap up our conversation on politics, as a young woman, do you think political parties are doing anything to encourage you, to motivate you as a young woman to seek out political positions or political decision-making processes? I'm looking at not only as a voter, because half the time, the only time you're involved in politics is when they're saying, you know, you should vote for us. But do you think political parties are doing anything or going out of their way to invite you, to encourage you to take part or to take up political positions in our country? Like when you were growing up, did you be like, yeah, I want to be a politician? Does it look like that for young women in our society?
I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe that political parties are political parties, and they are male dominated. And when you're in politics, I have the privilege because I'm in ZANU-PF, and I grew up watching things happening, and you see men and women are treated the same in politics. There's nothing like you are privileged because you are women. If you are running primaries, you present yourself there. I'm Esnat, I want to run. I'm John, I want to run, and people vote for you. So I wouldn't say that they're not doing enough. They're doing what they should do, offering the space. But as women, are we really taking up the opportunities that are there? No, because I feel like the environment that is created is not friendly, I'll call it friendly, for women to participate in. You look at how politics go around. Sometimes it will be tougher for women, especially young women, to be playing around those big sharks in politics. And sometimes you end up losing yourself trying to do that, and you end up clapping for others, like Comrade Louis said. So I guess it's up to us women, I'll repeat this, it's up to us women to know what we really want, to know what we really are fighting for, and we grab the opportunities. And the opportunities will not be like okay, this is the Empower Bank. You go there with your proposal, they say no, it's done. You open other doors, you try other routes. So if we are ladies and the enthusiasm is in us, we can push for us, for ourselves, and create the environment for us. We have got the few women that we are celebrating in politics. They didn't just wake up in the morning and they were like, you are the woman. They pushed, they to knock doors, they to do everything in their power to get that. So I guess politics is politics. Women should participate equally.
All right, so I hear her say the mere existence of a political party is encouragement enough for you to join the political processes. No one needs to go out of their way to encourage you to, you know, to make this attractive for you. Like, just do it. Do you agree? Don't you think there needs to be a certain level of effort coming from, I won't say our male counterparts, but from political organizations in general, to say, okay, we can see that you're not doing anything. This is why you should come and join us. This is how it's going to benefit you.
No, because like you said, the space is there. Why aren't we going for it? You know, there isn't any rules to say we don't want women. So like you said, it's a tough old day. So you have to learn to be a shark. Go there. I mean, we always say we want to be empowered as women and want equality. So if you want equality, don't expect that someone's going to be like, Hlengiwe, please come and join.
No, something here. Come and join us. You know,
I don't think anyone asked the guys.
I don't know. Don't you think, though, that's the issue? That's why a lot of women aren't participating, because they need more goading, so to speak, more encouragement, more motivation, instead of just saying, here it is, take it or leave it.
Like I told you that we were trying to educate our young women so that they understand.
Yeah.
But for one to be educated, you have to go out of your house and join those that are being educated.
Yes.
I can't really expect anyone to think that people go to your house and say, please, do you know that it's good to be in politics? Do you know you can do? No one will do that. So people must have that push, that zeal to say, I want to be like this. How do I become this person? And look at our structure. We've got a league for the women, and I'm sure in many political organizations they have that women's league, women's assembly, in whatever form they might call it. Why don't people make use of those organizations, as in leagues in their organizations, to claim their space? Because surely, after all, everyone wants space. We all want resources. We all want to lead. We want authority. Fight for yours, I'll fight for mine. Then we support each other as we go up.
All right. So you mentioned earlier that, you know, for women to be able to participate fully in anything, be it politics, they need to be empowered economically. What does economic empowerment for a woman look like for you? Like when you try to picture it and you're like, yes, now women are economically empowered. What does that look like for you?
Being economically empowered as a woman, personally speaking, I think I have to take up opportunities, like you said earlier, that are given. There are banks. You don't just wake up having money. Money comes from somewhere. So I think being economically empowered, you have to take up opportunities that are presented to you by banks, such as Empower Banks and RBZ. And also economically empowered for myself, I don't think I have to go around sleeping around so that I can get economically empowered. Because that's not a definition of being economically empowered.
What does economic empowerment for women look like for you?
Being able to participate in the day-to-day running of a nation's economy. For example, having, should I call it money? Having money, yes. Okay, or the means to have money, or the means to having the buying power, the buying and selling powers. I guess that all encompasses economic power.
All right. Do you think women have equal, and I use the word equal generously, do women, young women specifically, have equal access to financial resources and financial services in our country? And I also use the word access generously because I hear words like Empower Bank, I heard you say RBZ. Do young women have access to such services and resources in our country? And why do you say they do or they don't?
Okay, I think it goes back to the previous question that you asked, that what is what does economic empowerment look like? For me, on a personal level, economic empowerment as a young lady would be the ability to walk into a shop, use my card to swipe through money that I've worked hard myself to get because I'm part of a working economy. So do women have access to have those opportunities? Yes. We have access to be entrepreneurs. Before we even say we're going to be given money, you can have your own idea and start something up with very few resources and then get support and funding from other people who see your small dream and believe in it. Banks, I don't think you can walk into any bank and they'll say they won't give you money because you're a female. I haven't heard of such a situation. I think that would be absurd in the 21st century. So I think there is actually this space, but the question I think should be, are women going out there to grab those opportunities that allow them to have economic empowerment?
All right. I think we can sit here and talk about, access to financial services and whether women are taking up the opportunities or not. Do you have programs that specifically target young women for their financial empowerment? Or are they just, general economic empowerment programs that women do have access to?
Before I get to that, so that what I'm going to say will make some sense, economic empowerment is a process. You have to be empowered in terms of information. You have to know how things are done and what we want to do. Capacity building, that's the first thing. Then we talk of resources, now financial support and other things. Then you can participate by doing whatever you want to do. So that process. Now, to now answer your question, what exactly we are doing to make sure that young women are empowered, we are giving them information first. How do you run your finances? Suppose you want to start a business. How do you start a cooperative? How do you become a successful entrepreneur? Those are basic things that a person must know before thinking of getting for money from a financial institution or whatever thing that they can want to do. So that's the first. That is what we are doing right now. Yes, some are quick to jump to say, may you please facilitate that to get money from Empower Bank, from this institution. But we would want it, we are assisting them, yes, but we want to make sure that they understand how to run their finances, how to run their business first before they can access funds. And equally important is the issue of financial discipline. Are you able to manage your funds, your finances? Those are basic things if you want to really empower a person. So this is what we are doing. Conducting workshops and stuff. I spoke about the recent one that is coming recently. But there are others that we have been doing before with students, young students who are ladies and stuff. But I can tell you, it's not easy. It takes time for them to understand that education is important, financial education. They would want to see, how much money are we going to get after this workshop? So how much money, when are we getting the money? Get what I'm saying? They don't understand that it's a process. If you get a lot of money, millions today, that you might not have worked for, it's also easy to wake up tomorrow and you've got nothing. Because you don't know how you got the money, you don't know how you're going to use it, you don't know how you're going to manage it, you don't even know how to budget for it. So these are the issues that we are looking at. We are giving them the knowledge first. We are giving them the capacity, the know-how of how they can empower themselves. Then we can take it from them.
All right. What's your understanding of Vision 2030?
I think our president is pushing for the country to have an upper middle economic situation. So my understanding is it's targeting the young people in Zimbabwe. And I think we should take up the opportunity and try to make our nation a better country.
All right. Can you briefly break down Vision 2030 for us, looking specifically at the role that young women should and must play in the achievement of the vision by 2030?
I like it when keep on saying briefly because now I talk too much. So this is me. Okay, when you talk of Vision 2030, we are a country that require economic transformation, amongst many other things. Now, coming in of the new dispensation under President Mnangagwa, he said, what is it that we need to do as we move forward so we can transform our economy and our country into a better country when we look at what is happening in the world. Now, Vision 2030 is basically to say by the year 2030, we should be a middle income economy And when we talk of per capita, we're looking at the money that an average family can spend per month being $3,500 US. If you look at it right now, probably some are spending 100 or even less. That's serious levels of
3,500.
correct.
Yeah, well, like. Oh.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Because right now a lot of people, they are in poverty. They can't even spend 100 US per month,
Yes.
right? Now, a vision is when you look at something, say, there is something that I would want to get. There is my destination. So that's our destination. Now, there are a lot of things in between. The vision carries with itself the issue of revival of our industries. We must make sure that our industries are working, because that's where we get employment, that's where we get foreign currency, and we must develop our infrastructure. It's part of that vision. For us to get to 2030 as a middle income economy, we must have good infrastructure that is favorable for business. And also, we must be able to fight corruption. Corruption has brought down many African countries, many African economies. It's an issue that is part of that vision. The president is dealing with corruption. Yes, when you look at it from afar, you may think nothing's happening, but I can tell you a lot is happening to make sure that we do away with that. But the most critical part of the vision is the issue of servant leadership. Those that are into positions, be it members of parliament, be it ministers, or even the president himself, is saying, let's serve those that we represent rather than serving ourselves. A lot has been lost for those that were there before, trying to serve themselves and their relatives at the expense of the ordinary person. So these are the things that are part of the vision. We have to strengthen our agriculture, because that's we're agroeconomy. What is it that we can do to make sure that that sector is uplifted? We have to strengthen our mining sector. We are mining gold. Gold is contributing a lot to our economy. What is it that we can do to improve that sector? That's why I see the coming in of equipment from China and Brazil and other areas to beef up support in those particular areas. So this is the vision. This is what we are looking at. It's not easy, just like you're saying, you are actually shocked about the figure. But when I look at it, oh, by the way, besides politics, I'm a finance person. When I look at it, I see something that is very possible. Let's address the basic things. Let's be able to live within our means. That's what the president is pushing. We cannot spend that which we haven't raised, which we haven't worked for. We should balance the two. We should be able to continue having the budget deficit that we're having right now for quite some months, as in, surplus to say, whereby we're saving some money each and every month. That's a good sign of where we're going. So this is the vision. Now, young people, we have to participate.
Young women.
Okay, fine. I get it. Young women should take part as we, as the country, implement this vision. What are you doing in mining? What are opportunities that are there that you can take up? What are you doing in infrastructure development? What are you doing in agriculture? What are you doing in tourism? These are the opportunities that are there where young women must take up. Let's participate so that this vision becomes a dream come true. Otherwise, without the participation of everyone, particularly young women, there are young women who've got potential. They just need to exercise and make use of the potential to contribute to the vision as we go towards 2030.
All right.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk to or regard the young woman in the rural areas, the young woman that is possibly, that doesn't have access to a lot of the opportunities that women in the urban area have. What role, realistically and on the ground now, do women need to play in order to achieve Vision 2030?
Okay, off the top of my head, you mentioned the issue of agriculture. Those guys have access to land, and their schemes...
Those guys.
Sorry. Our fellow young ladies in the rural areas have access to land, and there's schemes like Command Agriculture that help support such initiatives. So, provided that they get information, they should be able to use those opportunities. Agriculture is a big business and it makes a lot of money. So I don't think that they should feel like they're shunned out just because they're in the rural areas. There's stuff like curios and crafts. Those are things that they can make access to using, which are in the rural areas. So I feel like maybe there needs to be capacity building for people in the rural areas. to help them make use of things around them.
Let's talk access to information. Do you think there is enough information available to young women to equip them enough to be able to achieve the vision 2030?
Yes. The information is there somewhere. It's not readily available for the young women. I would say that. Because right now I might sit here and I will not be knowing some of the opportunities that are available for me. But the opportunities are there. They're hanging somewhere. But do I know where to get them? I don't know. Which door to knock? I don't know.
So whose responsibility is it to say the information is hama?
I guess it's a collective role. Why am I saying that? It's maybe, should I call it government? Every time we talk government, then sometimes I end up asking myself, who is government? So it's someone who is seeing that gap, that girls need to be empowered. They stand up, they avail the information. Then there's that girl at the far end, knowing that I need to change my life, coming and they meet at the center. And there is that reciprocal of what? Of information. So, and going back to the young girl in the rural area, I feel like in as much as we are talking of economic empowerment, political empowerment, we are leaving behind a certain aspect, the sexual reproductive health and rights. Those girls are so vulnerable. We talk of forced marriages, we talk of unplanned babies, we talk of gender-based violence. They're exposed to almost everything, and sometimes they don't know who to cry to. And sometimes when I'm just that violated, I wouldn't think of economy. I wouldn't think of politics. I'm thinking of the 2 babies that I'm having at 16. I'm thinking of providing food for them. I'm thinking of taking care of my 42-year-old husband who is bringing $2 at home after drinking it. You understand? So those girls, they need more than just economic information. They need, I guess, more information that has to do with their sexual reproductive health, their rights in general. Everything that should be provided to them, and they should come up and tap into those opportunities.
All right. So as we wrap up, we know the month of March is Women's Month, and we celebrate the International Women's Day on the 8th of March. As we wrap up and as we conclude, what are your thoughts on the theme, A Balance for Better, and its relevance in our society to the economic, social, and political emancipation of women?
To me, it means we need to have equal opportunities. If John is having 2 shares, a young woman in Zimbabwe should also have 2 shares. We should have the equal exposure to resources, equal exposure to opportunities. That's my thought.
Yeah. Yes, I think it's 8 March, that particular day, but a day is not enough. Now, Balance for Better, you are saying, let's be at the same level. Let's be treated equally. Let's have equal access. Let's be exposed equally in a fair way, that I should be able then to say, from here, now that we're equal, I choose this path, I choose to be with this one, I choose to do this one. You see, that's the balance that is there between young women and men, or should I say women and men, to say that we are both human beings. We also can do what men can do. But I'm just speaking for the women, I'm not any man with them. But that's where the balance is coming from. That balance is better for whatever we want to achieve. That's where the better part, in my understanding, comes to say, if we are balanced, if we are equal, if we are fairly treated, then everything else is possible. But remember that while we are balanced, now we have to make use of that opportunity that we are together when that balance is achieved, so that we'll be able to go for the better.
It was initiated on Women's Day, right? But the theme is not directly towards women. It's balance for better. So essentially what that means for me is that if it's 15 points for us to get to use it to study medicine, as a woman I shouldn't be told I need 12 points. They should allow me to go in with 15 points. That means that we should create an environment where opportunities are equal in its raw form. Let's not as women expect to be given special treatment or special circumstances. So I think it's a theme that actually would get women thinking that, okay, we want a balance. We don't want special treatment, but we want things to be equal. And as women, let's take it as it is and not try and get special favors or special treatment.
Okay. For me, I would take it back from where a child is born. In our hospitals, a girl child is given a pink card, a boy child is given a blue card. Already that disparity is created. Already we are not balanced. Who said they want pink? Who said they want blue? Already there's some distortion of what entails in gender roles. Then crash stage, the list for toys. For girls, the cooking pots, the dolls, the what. For the guys, the guns, the cars, the bows. Already at crash, 5 years, we're talking 5 years, 6 years. I am a boy, you are a girl. So I guess balance for better, for me, it starts when my mother is pregnant and she tells herself that this is my child. She doesn't think of, is it a boy, is it a girl? This is my child. When she's born or when he's born, there's equal opportunities availed for this is my child. Then I grow up, I get to secondary level. This is my child. Maybe it's government saying that right now. Maybe it's my teacher saying that now. This is my child. And that child, when he's growing up, when she's growing up, they already know that we are equal. There's no need of communicating or having these round tables whereby we discuss these issues, because already that child is growing up knowing that we are equal. Right now I'm trying to advocate for myself. Yeah, I'm empowered. Why am I doing that at 25? It's because I grew up not equal. So I think balance for better starts when, maybe can I say, at pregnancy stage. Yes.
And there you have it. What I'm getting from these ladies and gents is that it is our responsibility as women to work towards our own economic, political and social emancipation. Nobody is going to do it for us. So let's inform ourselves. Let's make most of the opportunities around us. That's it for the Girls Table today.